My name is Shelby. I am with Divine Love with Shelby. It's been a minute since I've been on for one of these lives. Today, Atlantean Twin Flames will be joining me, Nick and Debra, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk to them. And let's see. No. I haven't done this since I got my new phone either, so. Okay, there we go. Hello, Starseed of Life. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
It's so good to see you guys.
Good to
How are
see you
you?
too. We're doing good. Yes.
Yes. Nice. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. Sorry I was running a little late this morning. I had a soul sister over last night and we stayed up super late, so I was a little slow this morning.
No worries.
Yeah.
All good. Patience and everything at its time.
Excuse me. So where are you guys in the world?
In Spain
Yes.
right
Oh,
now.
beautiful.
Yes.
The region of Toledo. So it's a beautiful historic place to be.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I will need to travel there one day for sure. It looks beautiful. So should we dive right into it with the
Totally.
Yep.
questions?
All the way up to
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you ready yourselves? Like, what was your kind of spiritual mission, before you came into communication? If, you know, if you want to answer first, Deborah, or you want to answer first, either way.
Yeah. I'll go first, maybe. Well, I had heard of twin flames and soulmates here and there, but I never really stopped to think about it or gave it a second thought. And my mom is a channeler. So I rolled into channeling my spirit guides and stuff at a pretty early age.
How
Um,
beautiful.
and then I kind of stopped everything. I wanted to fit in, try to be normal. So, like my late teenage years, early 20s, I was trying to be 3D, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
But then I had a whole new spiritual reawakening after I had my daughter. And then I started like meditating again, working with oracle cards and stuff, and I started communicating again with my spirit guides and started reading the Akashic records.
I
And
love that.
yeah, and that's what I was doing when I met him.
In a nutshell, yep. Yeah, for me, majority of my life till my 18s, I was raised up in an atheistic family. So it was all just about science and material and whatever. Your reality is your reality and fate and la la la. Don't think about it. Mom was a big hippie and quite a fiery person. So we got quite a rebel way against what society is. So from young on, I straight away got, how would you say? I got the push in discovering your own way through life.
Yes.
And I left my mom's place at a very young age. So the majority of my life as well, I was in solitude. I was used to sit with myself. So I started living life very early by myself as well, which gave me a lot of freedom to just discover and look for life. Yeah,
Yes.
to answer bigger questions for myself, and that was quite a luxury in comparison to what the usual people are going through in their life path, of school and jobs and careers and the whole shebang. And pretty early in my life, I got in touch with psychedelics.
Okay.
Yes, and they really opened my awareness in ways that I couldn't expect to. Because, like, if you really, there's not that type of faith and dealing with energy, and I was really not into it at all. It was a big eye opener. And then when I turned 18, my mom took me for the first time to a shaman who was working with traditions from North America.
Okay.
We did a drumming journey. which was very interesting for me. And then the moment afterwards, we went to a stone shop where they sell crystals, and it's also a guy that opened the shop was a shaman himself working with energy. And that day I had twice the encounter of people that were blown away by my energy as well with the stones that I was picking. And like, I was okay, yeah, sure, whatever, if it's that special, I don't know. And they told me like, it's up to you what you do with your life, but you can do pretty big things if you really want to reach the big things. And yeah, through these two people, my eyes opened into shamanic realms and yeah, just the spiritual path of life as well, though. And then the 13 moon calendar of the Mayas was my first ticket into like dropping back in natural time. And then getting in touch with mushrooms was, yeah, a big blast back for me into, yeah, old Central American traditions and insights in opening myself up. And that was the start for me to get myself out of a depression, because I had a very rough life by myself, and mushrooms gave me the first tools to crawl out of it. And yeah, actually by then I realized like, whoa, there is a lot more to this kind of things than people actually tell us there is about. And that kind of was my ticket off into deeper discoveries for myself. I started to research for years and years, and yeah, I think it was around 2016 then that I finally took off to the Amazon for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was curious to get involved with people that were using these substances or medicines in a more traditional way, really with a structure to get something done in life.
Yeah.
To grow and to heal and to learn, and like, so I wanted to learn from somewhere that this knowledge was still really present and alive. So by going into the Amazon, it opened a whole new world for me. After my first time, I was like, oh yeah, it's all beautiful and well, this healing stuff and the opportunity to become a healer myself. But thank you. I go back to my comfortable life in Belgium and my parties and my social circles. And but then integration hit me really, really hard. In ways that it really starts to crumble down your reality that you actually used to know as what life was. And yeah, I just dove deeper into it, going back to the Amazon to figure out what I was breaking down. And I got into dietas, so really the traditional way of learning from plants. And for me, my whole life was just working on myself, actually, really on grounding everything about this life. Just like, how can I apply everything that I need to know and get as centered and clean as possible as I can get as a human being to go back to my natural balance? I don't know. And then after, what was it? 4 years, 4 years of Amazon travels and crazy plant stuff. I started to have this flashbacks more and more about past lives, but that was quite a new topic for me about working so long just in this present life. And I was always very skeptical about next chapters and more of this ethereal stuff that was coming through. So I always put everything roughly through the test before I accept certain things on my path. But then we had ceremonies in our house during the COVID times, which was a very nice time to connect. And there was somebody coming by who had done a Akashic record reading, and she was like, "Oh, this crazy lady, her readings, they're not normal." I like, okay, like, let me see whatever you got from her and her profile. Where can I find her? Because I was working on the topic myself, and it was like, wow, I kind of need to get in touch with this lady, even not knowing at all what I was in for. But I was at that time, I was about to close down my life in Belgium to really move to the jungle for good, to really dive all the way into plant medicine. Because if you really want to take it serious, then there is only one ticket, you know. And I asked for some background, actually, why am I so pulled towards the Amazon, and why has this whole thing been such a big development in my life? Where is this going through, and why am I going to the jungle now? So then she came up with this Akashic record reading, and like, all the way out. It seems I've been doing this so many lifetimes and all this extra information. So I went into the jungle with all the information. And then there was one specific tree that has been coming on my path since the first time I arrived in the jungle. And there she was again, arriving at my doorstep. And I started to drink it for 3 days. And then by that time, there was lots of stuff going on in the jungle and I really needed advice. So I went back for a second reading. And that's when the thing broke open, when she started to see things involved.
I will now take over. Yeah. So, yes, that's his side of the story in a nutshell. So, yeah, I started doing Akashic Records readings. But around the time that he started working with plants is around the same time where I had my spiritual reawakening, so to speak. And we've been going back down the timeline of our like separate lives when we were in separation and looking at these really pivotal moments for him. And they always line up with moments that were very important for me.
Isn't that beautiful? The mirroring.
Yeah. And it's just extra confirmation that this is like one big math formula. Basically, it's just, it all fits together perfectly. But so, yeah, the story. So, yeah, he contacts me. I get on Instagram, I get a message and it's like two sentences like, hey, I would like an Akashic Records reading. Person blah 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 over there recommended you. I am going to Peru and I would like some advice. Greets, Nick. And that's all it said. That's all it said. And I'm like, okay, yes, I'm gonna need a picture, I'm gonna need your full name, and I'll get back to you with your reading. So, and I do his reading. Well, I look at the picture. So I open the picture. I've never seen him in real life. So I open the picture and there's something about this picture. I'm like, and I'm looking at it, but I'm confused by it because at the moment, like I had a baby, I had a 2-month-old baby. I was living with my ex. So I was not at all interested in anyone else. So yeah, I look at this picture and immediately I get this like bunch of emotions over me, but it's all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I don't know what this is, but this needs to stop. This is a client. We're not going to be thinking inappropriate stuff. This is just a person.
Right.
So yeah, I do his reading and a lot of information comes forward. And yeah, I kind of forget about the whole thing. But then he sends me a message. This is important. A few weeks later, he sends me a message and he says, I have a going away party, like a goodbye party, because I'm leaving, I'm moving permanently. Yeah, and you had this thing at your house. This.
Yeah, it was a holistic meeting. Like, yeah, I had in Belgium all kinds of connections and people that are working in the holistic field. Some with crystals, some with really technology, with some very ancient background, or it was yoga, energy work. I was working with Kambu back then. I had a friend who was working with ayahuasca, with Changa, and we were all like together in the same house, bringing people in and just talking about what was happening, because it was around the beginning of the COVID period, actually, though. So it was a very big topic to talk about, like, what will the future look like, because healthcare now is really going, a little bit funky. So it was an interesting time to come together, and I thought you would have been a valuable asset.
So he sent me this email. So I get this email like, I'm really grateful for my reading. It really means a lot to me. The information that you've given me is really valuable. P.S. I'm doing this gathering at my house. You're invited if you want to come. And I remember that like time stood still and I'm reading that line. And like my eyes are frozen on that line, like, oh no, he's inviting me to see him in real life. And like this voice came over me like, no, you cannot go. And I'm like, but I want to go. No, you cannot go. And then I start thinking of excuses like, oh, I have the baby, I don't have a babysitter, all this stuff. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I want to go. But then my higher self was very clear, like, no, you cannot see each other now. This is not the way it's supposed to go. And I'm like, okay. So I tell him, no, I can't go, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a babysitter. And he leaves. And then we exchange messages still back and forth a little bit after he leaves, like sporadically. Hey, how are you doing? Here are some pictures of the jungle. And I remember I saw these pictures and I had this feeling of peace. Like, okay, like my soul knew that his soul was supposed to be there because he had to finish stuff up over there before we could physically meet. But I was still not thinking of twin flames or anything like that. That was like not at all in my head yet.
Yeah, same here. For me, it was never on the radar, or it was never on the topic of twin flames or soulmates, or
because it was a very slow process of really seeing what it was. But then, and then so that first reading was in February. You left in May.
Yeah, and then around June, I asked the second one.
And then in June, he asked me for another reading, but then he sent me another picture. And then I look at this other picture of him and I'm like, whoa, is this the same person? Because his energy was completely different. It was completely different. You could see that he'd already been through shifts and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and I did the second reading. But around that time, before he requested that reading, before he emailed me, I started traveling in my dreams to the jungle, and I couldn't see him, but I could feel his energy. And all I saw was a bunch of trees, and I was floating in the jungle. But that's around the time when he was doing work with plant medicine. And when he was doing that, I was present somehow. And I remembered it when I woke up because of the time difference as well. So when he was awake, I was asleep, and we were like going to each other in the dream space.
I love that.
So I'm not going to be like, yeah, hi, that's funny that you're asking me for a second reading. I was just thinking about how I needed to tell you that I'm always in your dreams, or you're in my dreams. So you're not going to say that because the other person is going to think you're crazy.
Right.
So, but then I go and do his second reading. But then all of a sudden, I'm shown way more details. Like the Akashic records are showing me a lot more stuff that I didn't see the first time around. And I keep seeing myself in these lifetimes.
I was wondering if you saw yourself in them.
Yeah, but it's going to get really interesting. This is an interesting story. There's also a reason why we're called Atlantean twin flames. We'll get to that. So yeah, so I'm doing his reading, and the way I'm shown is I see a bunch of images, and then I get the downloads of what I'm seeing and who and what time it is and blah blah blah. So I see myself, I see him, and the first thing I see is this gigantic tree, really big. And we are placing crystals around the tree, and it was in Lemuria, and we were together over there doing work with the trees. Then I see this Egyptian lifetime in this sort of water pool thing in a pyramid, and we're in the water. There's this Ankh symbol, and we're doing all kinds of energy work in the water. Then I see us in another lifetime, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna tell him everything. And I'm like, I'm just the vessel for the information. And if he doesn't like it, then that's his decision. But I have to tell him all this stuff. So I send him the reading.
You were always very clear and very professional in approach. So
yeah, so I send him, and I'm like, oh my God, either this guy is going to be like, okay, this is interesting, let's investigate. Or he's going to be like, yeah, you're crazy. I'm sorry, but you're crazy. So right. I'm like, this is not, I'm just a channel for the information, and I hit send, and I'm like, it's out of my hands now. But then you email me back, and yeah, your reaction was like very open, and you're like, okay, yeah. And one of the first things he replied was, yeah, I did feel that we were connected somehow, like we've known each other before, is what you said.
Yes. But I always wait, and I'm very silent and observant to see first how much and what kind of information I can gather before I react or I make a notice of
Yeah.
it.
You're skeptical.
Yeah,
A
no,
little
but
bit.
it is. Yeah.
So yeah. And
I
then
love that
so
so
we start,
much.
yeah. And then we talk a little bit. We start talking because we're just intrigued by, okay, there's something here that's
Right.
interesting, because we want to always find out more information about like past lives. How are they influencing us now? Like stuff like that. And so we start talking about spiritual stuff, and then every
Well, and
day,
also have more and more experiences where we really felt
yeah.
connected in many ways through dreams or moments that I was walking through the jungle, that I could feel you or hear you. That we had equal experiences, like by just afterwards letting each other know how your day was. It's like, yeah, but I noticed this. I was starting to feel things that weren't even ours to feel, but it was actually the other one that you started to feel, and yeah, slowly becoming aware, like of something else in your energy field that felt familiar but was still unknown.
Feels like the moment I did the Akashic Records reading, the moment that I did that reading, the information was released almost, and like then the telepathic connection was even stronger just because we had all this information. And then it opened up all these other layers.
But yeah, and at the same time I was doing ceremonies back there as well, and being deep in the jungle all by myself. Most of the time was also
So I'm curious that the tree that you saw, was it the tree that he felt close to over in the jungle?
Oh, that's actually a good question.
That's a good question. It may be like a very distant relative, because it was a very massive tree. Like Lemurian times, the trees, like gigantic trees. I don't think we have trees that big anymore on the planet. They were really big, but they probably are some kind of ancestor. I wouldn't be surprised.
The thing is, it was actually Renako, and it's a parasitic tree that grows on another tree, and over time it grows around the host actually and devours the host. But yeah, then depending on whatever tree it climbs on, it will take the form of the tree, and it will bring it goes up to the canopy and the roots come down again through the branches. So you'll get like this huge, very unique trunk with all kinds of vines of roots coming back out of they call it the Tree of Souls, actually.
The Tree of Souls.
Yeah, or Master of Love. They use it for love magic, or like I discovered now.
For twin flames, it's the twin flame tree.
Everything connected to the soul, to relationship connections, love, the whole aspect. And apparently it's a master tree by itself that I can admit now to, like, it was the most craziest integration that I had. This one was really, don't even have the words, to define it all the way, but yeah, that was kind of basically what it came to with the tree.
That is so beautiful.
Because then I went into the dieta with the tree, and the first 2 weeks that I did my dieta for me were kind of gentle, but she kind of tumbled in all kinds of things that started to come up and come to her awareness. And then the 2 weeks after, it was my turn, and she was kind of guiding me like that through. Yeah, the other part of the diet, we started to notice that it really worked.
But that's we have to get to the Atlantis chapter. That's really important, because that diet is so we have it's just so that people can follow the. So I did his second reading. We started talking a little bit, and like, okay, there's something here that we have to clearly like investigate, but we're just no expectations. And also I have a kid, I have 2 kids, and I'm in Belgium, he's in Peru, and we're like, we're just talking. And what I felt more than anything was this need to make sure he was okay. This that wasn't like being in love or infatuated and none of that. It was like really wanting to make sure, without any expectations, that this other person was doing okay, where they were supposed to be in life. And he had the same feeling. So we were just talking every day, and we felt this really close friendship. or like a family. Like for me, it was like, okay, this guy is my family,
Yeah.
and I feel this on a very deep level, but I can't really explain to other people what this is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful.
And then I
So
asked him to, sorry.
that's okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, go on, go on.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I'm just excited to get to the next part of the story.
Is it the Atlantean part? Because that's what
Yes,
I was
yes,
gonna
yes.
say. Okay.
So then we're talking, and at this point, we're talking every day, like multiple hours a day, talking back and forth about spirituality, about our personal journeys, about just what's going on, what did you eat for dinner, blah, 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 like stuff like that. And then I asked him, the kids were asleep, and I was just sitting on my own, and I asked him, would you be okay with it if I dove into our Akashic records some more
And give you
to
free
see,
ticket
yeah, and
all the
and
way
like,
do whatever you need to do, want to do, go ahead.
because I
Yeah.
told him, and I made this excuse too to like, so I said, because of course the last time I looked at your Akashic records and I saw myself appearing in these lifetimes, but I never specifically asked to see the soul contract, to see what exactly this is. And so I'm like, can I do that? And he's like, yes, you can do it.
Well, of
So
course, I had the same questions, but it was nice and that she already came along with the proposition of can I? Of course, go ahead.
yeah, but so that, and then the thing is, of course,
I just had to
yeah, I
write
was
that
not,
down because I'm like, ooh, I've never asked to see the soul contract, and when I'm in the Akash,
so
go on,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. But where was I? I was not at all prepared for what was going to happen, because of course when you tell the universe, show me the soul contract, they're like, okay, here we go. So I'm sitting there like how I usually start my Akashic Records readings. I'm like connecting to my spirit guides, and I'm just trying to relax. And I start seeing these images again of us, but this time we're in Atlantis, and it looks like typical golden age Atlantis with like elaborate crystal golden decorations everywhere, temples, water, crystals. I know I already said that, but
So many
yeah,
crystals.
and like just people dressed in really nice clothing, but all very light colored, very like white. And yeah, and I see us, and then I'm shown this whole scene of us where we got married in Atlantis, and that we were, well, no, not that we were twin flames, but we were married. We had 3 kids, and I was pregnant with a 4th child. But then I saw a bunch of people, like from the government, from like the elite, basically, that were trying to get rid of all spiritual stuff, all the intuitive stuff. And they were targeting temples, and they were specifically targeting twin flames. And that they would really, because they know the power that these couples hold when they're together energetically. So they
Right.
knew at the time, like, that they could do all kinds of stuff for the collective that they didn't want. They didn't want that. So they started really seeking out these people and hunting them down, so to speak. And yeah, and that's when I saw like the whole murder scene of everything, and I started hyperventilating. And then I saw like in bold letters, because I was still like asking questions while I was being shown the whole thing. I'm like, okay, but what are we? Why am I seeing this? And then I see like in big bold letters in front of me, like the Hieros Gamos, Latin for sacred marriage.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, what the hell? And then I'm shown like, yeah, you're twin flames, blah, 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 blah. And the moment I see it, and I'm still in the Akashic Records, and I'm panicking like, no, 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 I don't know, no, no. I was not at all prepared. So I get out of the Akashic Records, and he's there on the other end of the phone waiting for like to hear back from me. And he's like,
Okay.
so what? And I told him, okay, I need a little bit of time to process everything I saw, because this is really big. And then I wrote the whole story down, but I left out the twin flame bit, like the Heroes, Gamas, blah, blah, blah. all of that. So I just told him I saw us, this was happening, these people were being killed, this is how I died, this is how you died, and I sent it to you. And I don't know why I didn't say that we were twin flames, but still at that point, his individual journey and him being okay, him being where he needed to be, was more important to me than me telling him, oh, we're twin flames. I was like,
Right.
I don't want to interrupt or like come in the middle of his individual journey, I thought. So I told him all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, you were very polite in that way. Yeah. No, but yeah, she was just clear. Like she really was honest in like exactly what information she got through, and it's like, yeah, this is what it is, and that's what I have to say about it. Like, yeah, feel free. What do you want to do with it? And then, yeah, after that, it was actually very enlightening by the time that you shared all the information, and that's when I went into Dieta. And you actually got into the Dieta involved as well.
yeah, because then about a month after I told him that whole Atlantis thing, about a month later, I did tell him we are twin flames, because he was going to go into a diet in the jungle where I wouldn't be able to reach him for about a month because he was in isolation.
Was basically the idea.
And so, and then I was like, yeah, but what if he doesn't find out on his own? What if he doesn't see it on his own? And then I was like, okay, should I do it? And then I did tell him that we were twin flames, and I sent him some articles about twin flames. And I remember that I needed to go to sleep, and it was still daytime in Peru. Mm-hmm. And I turned my phone off, and I'm like, just turn the phone off, go to sleep, and you'll see it in the morning. And then at 4 o'clock, I woke up, and it was 15 minutes after he had replied. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, now I understand everything.
Yeah, mm-hmm. But it is though. Yeah, for me, I had a lot of questions that still weren't filled in, and then just by knowing these kind of keynotes, everything came together for me as well.
But also stuff.
But really, like my whole life, just the reason why love was a certain topic that came back very often in my life, and relationships with people as well. That I've been into this holistic way of healing, and my interest in plants, and like everything. But everything came together, like and from there on, it just became a whole journey of remembering, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was really the opening of the whole terrain that we experienced in our first year of uni.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's been a lot of stuff, because I was already working on uncovering a lot of my own past lives on my own individually.
For me, that was really my ticket. First time the door went really open towards that topic. Actually.
And that seems to be a very big topic that I notice that I work with people when they come to me, that it's always important for them to remember certain past lives, because there's wounds that originated in those lifetimes that they are now healing. And also in Twin Flames, when we work with other couples, we see wounds that are now presenting themselves between the two of them. But then when I go into their Akashic records, I can see, oh, this is a wound from Greece, from Atlantis, from, I don't know. And a lot, like 7 out of 10, the wound goes back to Atlantis. And the original separation wound is for most Twin Flames that are now on the planet is in Atlantis. And if you can find that wound, what separated you there, you find the biggest block that is now standing in the way in this lifetime. And for a lot of flames, it's abandonment and betrayal, because around that time, that tipping point of the golden age to like the not so great Atlantean age, a lot of people were influenced by negative energies and betrayed their twin flame, or people close to them betrayed them as a couple. And then when they get separated in this lifetime or get triggered by stuff, and they can have these explosive reactions, and they're like, why did I react like that? I don't do this with anyone. Why do I react like this with you? It's because you are basically reminded of that original separation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where
love
was
that.
I going with this whole thing? I can't remember.
With the Atlantean story.
Yes.
So we were at the point of the Atlantean
Yeah.
story, and then we went through
And
the Dieta.
that I always felt like that this was something very important for us to really work around, this Atlantis aspect, when we work with other people. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no,
And I
That's
love
why
that.
we decided to name ourselves that. Yep.
Vanessa's saying she feels this so deeply. It's the key.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wrote down, I need to check in and see if I have Atlantis timelines, you know, Atlantean. Yeah. I
yeah, it
haven't.
was a big time, huh? Atlantis.
Yeah.
You see, it was a time period actually. So
When you look
so
at
Yeah.
our history now compared to the length of the Atlantean era was many times more like bigger than the little bit of history since like 2000 years. So we actually have a lot of lifetimes in Atlantis, way more lifetimes than we have modern lifetimes, so to speak. So a lot of these wounds, and because now we're so close again in frequency to the energy that was on the planet during the Atlantean age, all this stuff is going to start to come up, including wounds, including triggers with your twin flame. So yeah.
Well, not only Atlantis, like if we notice now over the year, it was actually a whole bunch of stories over the whole period of history, but all topics that had to do with certain things that we had to do now or had to clean up now in our life that were still holding us back from doing exactly what we needed to do. For me as well now, we've been traveling now for a year also. If you see what kind of work that I was doing, or then on the opposite, the way that I was training in the jungle. Now I'm doing things that are more skills that she developed over her lifetime are becoming a part of my profession now. And we really start to integrate skills of each other and really start to become more and more one as well with each other as with our higher self. And it's
I love that.
crazy how magical this ride is, and not to emphasize that this really was a fluffy ride, far from. In my opinion, I've been warned in the jungle that I was about to go through my personal hell in the upcoming years, and it really, I can't express it even better than just literally by going through your own hell. And it's the same for her as well.
Yeah, because we both had like a separate, how do you say, dark night of the soul, like in separation, the initial spiritual awakening. We had that on our own, but then coming together, you go through a whole new dark night of the soul as a couple in union.
Okay.
Well,
yes.
And reversed, going like back over all the core wounds all over again, just to make sure that you really cleaned up behind yourself.
Yeah.
You thought you went through it and you learned your lesson, but it's like, no, you kind of forgot this tiny thing here.
Yeah.
And it was the whole way through, like, okay, but now you're cleaning up, and this was it. Now you're really moving up. So yeah, it was very intense.
Yeah, I like explaining this to people because a lot of the times now I'm noticing a lot of people are meeting each other, a lot of twin flames are finding each other. And then these people that are like established, they did a lot of work on themselves. They did a lot of healing, a lot of trauma stuff. And then they come to me and they're like, what is happening? I feel like somebody pulled out the rug from under my feet. I did so much work for years and years. I did so much work on myself. And now it seems like all this work was for nothing because I meet this person and they trigger all these things that I thought I had healed forever. But that's because they shine a light that nobody else can shine on you because they are the exact frequency that you are. So with anyone else, a soulmate, karmic, random person, they're not gonna shine light on these shadows that you still hold within you And then there's
Right.
this bright light. It's like shining on you. And then you see all of these things that are still there that you thought weren't there anymore. But that gives you the opportunity to heal on an even deeper level. But it's not always comfortable, and it's very uncomfortable actually at certain. And that's why so many twin flames separate, and they come back and they separate.
Just to integrate already the things that they're going through and releasing.
Right.
Our journey was quite interesting in the fact that, actually in Peru, to come back to the story, after the dieta, I was still for a couple of months in Peru. But then things got quite rough over there as well, and through ceremonies it became very clear that we needed to join at a certain
We needed
point.
to physically reunite.
So we kind of got the communication like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, are we in for it, or
Are we going to do it?
Yes. And then you came over with a big email and a proposition to come back to Belgium to help and pick you guys up and clean up your stuff and to leave to Peru as well to settle down in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
then
did? I love that.
we didn't even saw each other in real life before back then as well, though. So,
Oh, wow.
and then after the email, within 5 minutes, she got a reply. Okay, let's do it.
Because the thing is, individually, we were not. Well, I was at a point where every step I took in my life was aligned with source energy, because I'm here doing work for source. That's how I see myself. So when I have to make a decision, I'm going to ask source. I'm going to ask creator, what am I supposed to do? And even though I may not like the answer, I'm going to follow directions from source. So I'm like, okay, we have to physically unite. This is going to probably be really crazy, but this is the only way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah.
I love that.
And then he came back to Belgium, and then I saw him in real life, and he got out of this taxi and he walked over to me, and when he looked into my eyes, it's kind of like, I don't know, it was like, whoa, I'm looking in a mirror, but it looks like a man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was very weird in the beginning, actually, to be honest. To be together.
Yeah, because you haven't been together. Yeah, in a very long time, in that frequency, like together physically.
It was really overwhelming.
It was overwhelming.
And we were even just tired in the first 2 weeks. That we slept a lot. We were really just
could really feel
exhausted of just energy exchange. Before we even really managed to like, hey, how are you? How's your day? Let's do something with it.
But then, we were in Belgium till December, and then we left Belgium and we went to
at the end of October till half of December.
Yes. So we were I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, and that was quite interesting. To come back to the point that I wanted to make was that we were like actually very close to each other without an option to get out of the
couldn't separate
reunion. Like we were really forced to go full on into union
because we were traveling together. But
then to come back to Belgium was quite okay still, because I had some old contacts for work and still friends to visit, because we still had a little bit of space to allow each other to integrate, let's say. But then we left to Spain, to one first address that we went like, okay, we're going to go there. But then afterwards we didn't know what was going to happen for whatever was about to come, even not for work, for nothing. And then we started to live from day to day, living on just whatever source was allowing to come through for the day, to work with it and just start to navigate our way from there and really work with the things that daily came onto our path and were offered to us. Like for me then in that time was working more with tarot cards and rune stones, more in divination and really looking in energetic work over distance and writing. And then for her, she really made the jumping board into coaching. and diving deeper in sharing content around the things she was experiencing as well. So it was really beautiful to see how more we were really pushed into developing really, our skills are really what we need to do around here to come together and to do what we need to do.
Because it's funny, yeah, we were both kind of comfortable before we were together physically.
Yeah.
I had a part-time job for an employer, and then on the side I was doing my own thing, my Akashic records and all my stuff. And I did start, like, I was playing around with the idea of doing mentorship or offering coaching, and I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And but then the week after he arrived in Belgium, I get fired. So and I'm like, okay, this is the sign that I have to now focus fully on my spiritual work and trust that it's going to be enough. Because I did always have this feeling like, okay, the universe brought us back together and we will be supported. We're not gonna, like, what a cruel joke would it be to bring us together and then, yeah, you're homeless, go sleep under a bridge. So
Right.
we had to trust that if we were putting energy out there, offering like our gifts to people, that we would be supported in that. So that's what's been guiding us through this year.
Yeah, indeed. And as well, like, then there was no way to escape each other as well, because we really needed to work together only already to survive, actually, to say and to be honest. But that is really like, that was the way that really forced us going through one thing after another and not having any other place to look at. Like, it was so bright, like, okay, just face one topic after another. And it was kind of my contract with the tree in the Dieta as well. It's like to clean up everything that's still in the way of coming together in this union, to just get over with it, get done. But that's me with my big ultimatums. So another big life lesson that I learned is be careful with what you ask for.
Yeah.
But obviously, after 1 year, the work that we moved around, to be honest, I almost had an identity crisis this year in not even recognizing me anymore or myself. Everything changed so much. But then now, being so grateful for it, that if you see that after all the hard work, you really start to get the fruits of the
hard labor.
That has been done.
But it's true, because we also found out then that the reason why we went through this year, and it was a really crazy year, is because we said on the other side, before we came into this body, we said, yeah, we're going to get back together. On one condition, we're not going to be doing that splitting up, getting back together. We're not doing that. We're going to get together. It's going to be really crazy for a little bit, but we're going to stick together. Okay? Okay, let's go. So that's what we decided, apparently. And then, like, there were moments where I was ready to leave, moments where he was ready to leave. But then we always knew that it was not about us, that we were here serving a higher mission. And that's what always kept us together.
I love that. I love that. What kind of things did you guys do to help yourselves and help each other through this process?
Yeah, well, we kind of combined our skills. I think we started with our tarot cards. Then we started to do a year reading.
But for ourselves,
try to get a map out of the energy in trimesters and in the months, just to see, like, what is this year gonna look like. And the experience for us was so crazy that it was really an interesting map to already use through the year. So there came the tarot cards and the divination. Then on my side, I was working with Cambo, and I always have sticks around. So that's a nice tool to really bring fresh energy and purge whatever is trying to come up.
I love Cambo.
To get over with it, not to let it linger on in the back. And then on the other side, I also have my entheogenic medicines around once in a while. That was one of the big tools for us as well. And for you, a beautiful introduction and really diving into your skill set, actually, of like everything that you have been developing over your whole lifetime, now stepping into this vulnerable space, opening all your senses. That was also that, the ceremonies that we did
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, what else? Also your hypnosis, your Akashic
Yeah.
records.
Because I think she was asking like how the things that we found have helped us dealing with these triggers and stuff, like when
Well,
the
yeah,
intensity of
it's
being
kind of
together.
our skills that we applied now
Yeah.
towards the whole process of
And also, yeah,
navigating.
not forgetting, because that's the thing with twin flames. A lot of the time, when they are together, they will completely lose yourself in each other because the energy is so similar. So we do make sure that we have separate time every day, and that you are always doing that. You are also doing stuff that you love and that he
Yeah.
loves, and that you still do that.
Yeah, really working on
Yes.
your authentic self and allowing the space to be there as well. That you still have your individuality in the relationship, and that you can always bring, things to the table, fresh energy, fresh stuff. Your own medicine to the table. Because otherwise, if you lose yourself in the relationship, then you lose the magic or the polarity of the relationship as well. So
Yeah.
it's been all around these topics that we had triggers.
And I
going
think
on.
what is very important, and I even made a video about this a few weeks ago, is that you have to keep in mind a twin flame union is not a relationship, it's a sacred union. And if you start applying old relationship programming to stuff that is coming up or going on in your twin flame union, you're sabotaging it, because it's gonna challenge all of these old thought patterns. So it's going to be completely different than what you think love should look like.
Yeah.
I watched that video. I was like, this is so true. Yeah.
And if you always keep in mind that you always have access to the unconditional love of your twin flame because you're connected to God or goddess or source, whatever, then you're always connected. And then you can always see through the triggers or stuff, and then you can like analyze it way quicker and catch yourself way quicker when you stay aware of that higher perspective.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So, what kind of future plans do you guys have?
Well, now we're looking forward to make our move back to the Amazon. So, it's now the end of the years in Europe, Spain. Then our daughter is going to return to the family in Arizona, and we are going to go to the jungle. And then, we want to settle our base down around Iquitos, Peru. Or that's at least where we're going to start to find our place. And after that, we didn't add any thoughts, actually. Just want to have our own thing developing, like really be our own boss and have our own life structure and really put our own efforts in like being an example of how things can be different now. Towards a better solution for the future and living together with the earth again, with nature, and more harmony instead of diving deeper in separation. I think that's in essence our biggest goal now. And I just want to go back to the jungle to be closer to the work that I've been developing for myself as well.
I love that. I love being in nature so much. It's my happy place, my home. Yeah.
I can imagine. Do you have anything to add to that?
That we kind of stopped planning long term because Source manages to always surprise us.
So true.
But in a way, we needed to as well, huh? To have really like a long-term goal.
We do have, but it's not really too specific because we like to keep it open, because we know if we have an idea and something different happens, it's probably going to be better anyway. It's going to be better than we could have thought of. So we're open.
But that's and that's actually an art that we learned to develop over the year now. To work as less as possible with expectations and to just really like, okay, you have a focus and a goal for the long term, but you stay open for whatever the universe has to provide every day. like, you know, in line where you have to go, and like if you're in line with your essence and your higher self, then your main focus long term is in line with what the universe desire is of growth or evolution as well. So that there is, everything is in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, you know. So there is no question anymore. It's just
Yeah,
yeah,
that's something that we've
taking
really
every day
learned.
what you need to take, and you will be provided whatever you need along the way, until you get to the point of it. Enjoy the journey. That's the most important part.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is such an incredible story. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And I'm excited to see what you guys experience with your move. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see
Yeah.
what's up for the future.
It's been
Yeah.
interesting already, and I'm sure it will be very interesting still.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I loved having you guys on. Thank you all that watched us and watch us in the future.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank you for having us, and it's always nice connecting with other twin flames or people that are on this journey.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, because it really would be nice to have some more community around it as well. Yeah, it's a very strange process. Like, if you go through it, definitely a couple of moments you will have the thought that you're just
crazy.
going mental.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's even better that more and more people talk about it and come amongst each other, just to share the platform and the comfort of like, hey, dude, it's all good. You're just going through something, and it will be fine. You know?
It's not
and support each other a bit by just listening.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm so grateful for for everybody, but the twin flames that I have in my life, because there was definitely some times where I'm like, I am losing my mind. Like, what is happening here, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's the way
So
it
thank
is.
you. Yes, and it's
That's
beautiful.
why it's good. You have to have other twin flames or people that know what twin flames are, whether they're in separation or in union. They know what it's like, and they know that you cannot logically explain this. It's not possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And as a twin flame, you can't expect people that aren't to understand, because if I think back to 5 years ago, if I were talking to myself now, I might have thought I was a little crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
It's true.
That's good. A bit crazy is healthy.
A little bit crazy, a little healthy amount of craziness.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I love you guys, and I love your work.
Thank you for
And
having us.
thank you for being on.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
day.
Bye.
Ciao.